What's up, people? I'm Xogue, and welcome back to Bare Roots. What's that? I'm flying. What are you talking about? I'm not... Oh, wait. No, you're right. I'm flying. That's because I'm on my creative world. This is... I've just been designing out something that's been long overdue, because one of the first things I usually make is a cow farm. Why? Because steak is so much better than chicken. Does require a little bit more work, but, I mean, it's steak. Wouldn't you go through a little bit extra work for steak? Yeah, I thought so. Anyway, so this is the design that I'm going with. Now, what in the world is this monstrosity? I know, it's a little bit big. But, and there are smaller ways to do it, but the smaller it gets, the more work you generally have to do. And this one actually adds in a little quirk that I like, that I added myself. Now, it may have been added in some other designs or something. I'm not claiming anything about this. It's just something that I did add by myself to a design I saw a long time ago by King of Defunk. That is his YouTube channel name. I know, it's a little bit, but the dude is pretty good when it comes to redstone. I can't, he's a little bit overconfident in some cases, but he's all right. He makes some decent tutorials, and I used one of them to make it, and then I tweaked it a little bit to my own specifications. My specifications being the standing lava that's here, so you don't have to press a button to cook the cows. They're just automatically cooked and automatically put in the chest. So the only thing manual that you have to do with this farm is just breed the cows. You push a button, breed the cows, push a button, and you can walk away. You don't have to do anything else. You don't have to time anything. You don't have to wait. You don't have to do any of that stuff. It's all automatically done for you. Now, how is that done? Well, first, let's go over what his design did. The parts of his design that I used. And that's basically the button press. So, what does this do? It turns on the water, turns off the lava. In the case of my alteration, it turns off the lava, and the cows jump up and down. You go and breed them, cool. Then you turn it off. You see the little piston? That's part of his design. It pushes all the baby cows off the edge, and then my alteration turns the lava back on, so you are able to walk away. Awesome. It's wonderful. I love it. Why do I love it? I don't know, because I have to do less, and it's amazing. So, let's just go on through and let's trace this wiring. Now, if you don't like redstone, the rest of this is probably going to be redstone, so feel free to skip ahead in the video if you don't want to see it, but it's going to be a thing. It's good. Anyway, so here's the button. The button press is then travels along this line and is split into two directions. This direction goes into the block that is right underneath of the water. I believe it's underneath. Looks like it's underneath. So that way it powers the dispenser here. Actually, maybe it's on the side. Is it on the side? I think it might be on the side. Anyway, in any case, it powers that dispenser full of water so the cows jump up and down. That's pretty simple. Then it splits, like I mentioned, and the lower half comes down here. And this is, I forget what it's called. Pulse something. Lengthener? Maybe it is technically it does lengthen the pulse. It is a pulse lengthener. But basically what happens is that comparators do not repeat the signal, but they do keep it at the same level. And if you don't know how redstone works, basically when you push a button or whatever, it starts at 15, and the length, it goes down by one strength every time. So 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, you know, that kind of thing. Except for when it hits a repeater, then it goes back up to 15, 15, 14. You get the idea. But what these do is it keeps it at that same number. So if it's at 15, it goes in at 15, comes out at 15. Goes in 15, out 15. So this is 15. Then 14. 14, 14, 14, 13, 12, or 13, 13, 13, 12, 12, 12, 12, 11, 11, 11, 11. You get the idea. It just, that's how it lengthens the pulse. And for as long as this is powerful enough to go 2 in this direction right here, it will continue and keep this torch off. Now this has to be switched in order to keep the lava from being triggered instantly. Because dispensers are only triggered when the signal is on, which is why this has to be powered the entire time. So this signal will turn off the torch, keeping this from being powered until this finishes. So once it finishes, then the torch is no longer turned off by this signal and therefore turns back on and triggers the dispenser, being the lava. And that's how you get that delay. And there you go. That's pretty much how that works. So the other part is that little piston push that you just saw there. How that's done is because when you have a bucket in a dispenser, which I can't really get to at the moment, but obviously there's a bucket full of water in this dispenser. When there is a bucket in a dispenser, you can use a comparator to tell whether or not that bucket is full inside the dispenser. When it's an empty bucket, the signal is shorter, and I believe it's only a signal length of 1. So it won't spread to here, which means this repeater won't pick up the signal that's on top of this block, and this whole thing can't be triggered. But when it is full, meaning you just turned it off, which is when the lava needs to turn on, we just, look at that. Holy crap. That's a lot of stuff, man. So, yeah, I just finished making this not too long ago. I literally, like, those cows just grew up. That first batch did. Anyway, so, yeah, so when the bucket is full, it then is able, this repeater can pick up the signal because it goes further, and it goes through this whole process. Now, what this is a rising edge detector. What in the world does that mean? I know. When signal enters this device, this is all one device in this scenario right here, sticky piston facing upwards with a block on top. When signal enters this, it pushes the piston up, which makes power not able to go through in this scenario, which is why this isn't on right now. But for just 1 second, power can travel through this block and therefore into this repeater. So what does that mean? When signal comes into this device for just 1 second, this is powered. So it creates a pulse from a signal turning on, basically. So that pulses this piston, pushes the baby cows over, and then retracts. No problem. It just works that way, and it's really, really cool. It's actually fairly compact for what it is. It's a pretty awesome farm. I love this design, and it is a little bit big, but I love it. I just do. Mainly because I added my own little twist to it, and it's just awesome. Anyway, so there's one other little quirk that I do need to mention. Since the lava is now staying here, if you decide to make this on your own just by looking at this, I don't blame you. Go for it, man. Here you go. Here's a little bit of a wide view angle if you need to see a little more of it. I don't know if that's going to help you or not, but if it helps. But the other thing you need to be mindful of is that lava catches blocks on fire, but it can't catch glass blocks on fire. Now, these other blocks, it doesn't really matter too much if they catch on fire, but if this block underneath the cows is a solid block, it will catch that one on fire and then cook all of your cedar cows, and then your farm is empty and you can't use it. So make sure that is a glass block or some other kind of transparent block that cannot catch on fire. Other than that, you're pretty much good. Then you can have some baby cows grow up, get cooked, and you can get yourself a bunch of steak and leather. Right, and here we are back on the Bare Roots server. Yep, this is the real one. You see, I'm not flying anymore. Yeah. So I made a few changes. First of all, that is not the chicken farm. What does that look like? Yep, that's the cow farm. This is the chicken farm. I moved it over, spruced it up a little bit, and I changed it back to the old style pretty much just because that is the one that I know. That is the one that is tried and true. It works fine. Fine? It's totally a word. It's totally a word. But, you know, it worked out really well. It's just the one that I knew. The other one seemed to work fine. I didn't have any issues with it. I mean, this is all from that other farm. I moved everything over. It's all good to go, but I just decided to go with the old one because you can see more. I like seeing more. I don't know why. I'm a cruel person to watch chickens die. Whatever. But that is the one that I always go with. It is the one that has lasted the longest as far as designs go. It hasn't broken. It's stayed the same, and it just works. And this one over here, this is the cow farm that you see I built the room around. Everything is the same kind of a design as far as the walls and everything go. It just works out. It's pretty good. But as you can see, it's not filled with anything. I need to get my cows over here, and that's not something we're going to do on camera, but I did want to bring you over here and show you that it is hooked up. It is ready to go. I don't know why that block was there. But, you know, everything's hooked up. Let's watch it in action really quick. You see right now, lava's on. This is how it will be when we're waiting for the baby cows to grow up, get cooked in lava, and drop their stuff. When I want to breed them, I do that. Water pops out. A little bit later, lava turns off. And this, you know, even though it's a delay for it to turn off, by the time I get up there and start breeding cows, this thing will most likely be off. So that's not really a huge deal. And then when I'm done breeding, okay, I got them all. Some of the babies will have fallen down already just because of the nature of how mobs move. They push other mobs, but all of them won't. So then I come down here, push the button again. Out goes the piston, pushes the rest of the baby cows over, and then the lava turns back on. And it's going to work out really well. So then I can do that and I can walk away. I don't have to worry about 20 minutes. I don't have to pay attention to any of that. I can just come back and take a look. Are there any cows left? Yes, there are. Okay, then I should have some meat in the chest. And leather, if I need leather. Anyway, there's something else that I wanted to work on because Tom the Box was actually testing a few things. He checked out my chicken farm over, actually, for some reason, I don't know, my mind is still like, your portal's way over there, dude. What are you doing, man? But it's not. It's right here. So every now and then you'll catch me trying to run in this direction to go to spawn. I'm trying to go to spawn right now, and I walk that way. That's not the way to go to spawn. Anyway, Tom of the Box checked out my chicken farm, and he was like, Xogue, your chicken farm sucks, man. There's no meat and 2 stacks of feathers. So it's like, well, it's either it really sucks because something happened and it doesn't work for some reason, or somebody already took all the meat, which is the probable situation. That's pretty much what I told him. Holy pigment. Move. Nope. Keep going this way. Move out of my way. You need to move, dude. George, leave. George the pigman needs to go away. I went through him. I can deal with that. Anyway, so we're just going to go over here, and the basic idea of the chicken farm, which I didn't really mention, is that it was supposed to be inside the spawn chunks. That way it's always running, and therefore, no matter where somebody is, I believe as long as they're in the overworld, the spawn chunks are supposed to be loaded. But Tom actually mentioned that something changed. Then that even if someone is in the nether, that the spawn chunks are still loaded. That didn't used to be that way. It's a recent change, but apparently Azumovoid did some kind of a test. I do want to verify that one as well, but the basic idea that I want to figure out now is exactly where the spawn chunks. What's the extent of the spawn chunks? So you might come to question exactly how that's done. It's not really tricky. It's actually a very simple concept, and it uses time, obviously. Well, maybe not obviously, but basically what you do is you take a bunch of items. You don't have, it doesn't matter the item doesn't matter, but you just take, a few stacks of them. So if you think about how spawn chunks work, is that no matter where somebody is in the overworld, or apparently in the nether now, these chunks will always be loaded. So if you drop items on the ground and then leave the area, only the items in the still loaded chunks will disappear. So if I go right around this general area and I just start dropping items in a big long line out in this direction, I actually want to go towards the chicken farm just to be sure. But I'll probably just, lay them all the way across and go all the way up into those mountains over there or something, just to be sure that I go far enough away, and it will probably start in this area just to be sure I'm close enough. And then you get out of the area as fast as you can, in less than 5 minutes basically. And if you can do that, usually by going to the nether, and then I'll use my minecart to come back in the overworld at my base, which should be fine, and somebody built another thing. There's 2 of them. Anyway, that's the general idea. And then more than 5 minutes later, you come back and you check out which items despawned. The ones that did despawn and did disappear, those are the ones that were inside the spawn chunks. And therefore, those where your spawn chunks are. I said spawn chunks twice. Whatever. Anyway, it probably made sense. It usually does, even though I don't think it makes sense. But that's the general concept. You drop items, you leave the area, you come back, whichever ones are gone, that's where the extent of the spawn chunks are. And that's pretty much how it works. That's the simplest and easiest way to find the spawn chunks. There are other ways involving a lot of death. So if you don't want to do this way and you don't care about any kind of a death counter, you can actually kill yourself somewhere in the ballpark of 10 to 15 times. All right? So then you pretty much make a plot graph of where you spawned in using those coordinates. You go to some kind of editor or something, and you just kind of find the center point of all of those dots. And that will be your spawn block and therefore spawn chunk. But since it's a little bit open to interpretation that way, that looks fantastic. Holy crap. That is amazing. Interrupt me in the middle of my speech. Whatever person built this awesome thingy over here, darn you. I was trying to explain something that they probably understood, so I was over-explaining something. It's kind of how I do things, but look at this thing. That's pretty cool. That is really cool. UHC stuff. So I wonder. I'm glad there are no spoilers because we haven't finished uploading those anyway yet. Whatever. Anyway, so I'm glad the winner wasn't plastered up there. Anyway, the basic idea that I want to do now is I need to go collect a bunch of items, which I still have from the cow farm, so I don't have the items that I want. I'll probably use a bunch of cobblestone, since cobblestone doesn't matter, or dirt, or something similar. And I'm just going to go ahead and string it out. You don't need to see me drop one big long line of items across the ground and then waiting 5 minutes. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to do that. And I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you where the extent of the spawn chunks are. All right. I do believe it's time to check to see if, you know, where the spawn chunks are. Let's go take a look. Shall we? Okay. See, all the blocks here are gone. So now we just need to retrace our steps. We need to run along the same line that we ran before and see where the blocks start to reappear. And then that is the point in which we know the spawn chunks are done. That's it. You know, that is the end border, and we circled around the front here. Correct? Yes. So it does encompass the chicken farm. I don't know why it's not working as well, or seems to not be working as well, and I probably didn't even go far enough, to be honest. Oh, nope, here we go. Right here. You see how these blocks are here? That means where I went, this is about the distance right here from the spawn chunks. Spawn chunks come all the way out here. And I was worried. I was seriously worried. You know what it is? And that means that people are just taking all the meat. Like, as soon as it comes out. People are just taking it all. It's just a thing. That or nobody's been on. Because it's actually been it's been a day or so since I've been on. So, you know. Chickens! Make more babies! Anyway, so now those other ones are there. Yeah, see 36? Oh, yeah. We're good. We are good. Let's go ahead and do this because this is how I prefer it to be, personally. And we'll go ahead and do this, and then everything should be good enough. So now, yeah, we should be good to go. Shouldn't be too big of a deal. We do need more chickens in here. That's for sure. We need more chickens in the top. Let's see if we can get an accurate-ish number. That shows about 28 there, but I'm also looking down. 26, 20. Yeah, we're still at about 20 chickens. If you don't know how to do this, basically, if you look up at the top left, obviously, that's where you look for just about everything. And you see 1, 2, 3, the fourth line down, you see an E. Stands for entity. So this number will actually increase for not only mobs right here, but also for any, you know, items left on the ground. Like right now you see 38. Or, oh, never mind. Hold on. Let me redo that because I looked at the wrong number. All right, right now you see 1. There's 2. And then 3. And then 4. 3. Okay, because I'm picking them up. But you get the idea. The concept is there. Anything, any item that is left on the ground, any mob that's there, any kind of item frames, I believe, also count. There's a few things that count towards that number. But the general idea is that if you can find a way to look up at the sky where you know there's not going to be anything, and then try to barely include them in your frame, you can actually see which of them are being rendered and therefore have an accurate count as far as what is in this thing, which means there's actually 5 down here now too. So these 20 have 5, and that's probably a decent little roll of what happened? Oh, that's what happened. I took one out. Anyway, so that's the basic idea behind the count. We just want to make sure that number gets up. I'm thinking 30 or 40 should be enough to fill this up. Now, we don't want it to overfill, because then items are going to be sitting on top of this hopper that's down here, and that could be a very bad situation because eventually items will start to stack right on top, and since they're not tall enough to get hit by the lava, they won't be burned, and that is a bad thing because then that entity count will go really, really high and then start to slow down the server. So eventually, if that thing does start to populate enough, then I'm going to have to build in some kind of an overflow thing where if this hopper's full, then lead it into another lava source or a cactus or something just to destroy them. Anyway, so the basic idea for today is to get the cow farm online. We did that. We got, almost got that. I just need to fill it up with some cows. That's not too big of a deal, but that is what I got to do now. I'll probably do that off camera. And we wanted to make sure that the chicken farm is going to work properly where it's at and that it is, in fact, in the spawn chunks, which we did verify. We verified that. So that's not a big deal either. It is there. We just need more chickens. That's the bottom line. So if you like the episode, don't forget to hit the like button. If you want to see more and you want my videos sent directly to you, then don't forget to subscribe. Comment, favorite, share if you feel like you want to. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.